Welcome to The Curve Weekly, the podcast that keeps you up to date with all of the money, business and stock market tea.
Brought to you by the Curve's research team. It's the latest insights on what's happening in the stock market, companies, other money-related news so that you can stay educated and ahead of the curve.
You can thank us later for sounding smarter than those finance bros at your next dinner party. So, with the last Curve Weekly of the year, we are going through a bit of a stock market roundup and some expectations for the future. And Soph and I are going to give our predictions for the stock market. We're going to discuss a new recession kind of barometer for deciding whether the US stock market is going into a recession. We're going to talk about the huge amount of money that's going to be transferred to women over the next 5 years and what you can do. And we're going to talk about women and AI and how not to get left behind and to use it to your advantage.
We're also talking about Taylor Swift at the very end.
Oh, yeah. We're going to do a Raising the Curve episode of like what we've learned, what we've loved, a bit of a wrap up, which will be released this week as well. So
yeah, we're going to take 2 weeks off the podcast, so there's not going to be a Curve Weekly or Raising the Curve. But before we get into that, we're just going to ramble about our lives for a couple of minutes, aren't we?
Yep, as per usual.
If you are not interested in that, you can skip through. We've put like chapters in the podcast now, so you can see when we're just talking absolute garbage, and you can skip through the stock market news if that's what you're here for. We've got our Christmas party today.
We do, and it's raining, and we're supposed to be doing an outdoor activity.
Do you know what? The idea that you came up with, I must say, in a weird way, feels like something I would suggest and you would say no to.
Yeah.
In fact, why don't you pitch the idea to everyone listening?
We're going to, it's a drum roll, Winter Wonderland. So if anyone lives in London, they all know how amazing it's actually. We've heard mixed reviews, but I think it's a must do.
Also to paint the picture, it's like Ferris wheels.
Ice skating, ice bars.
It's like, it's one of those.
Hot chocolates, donut.
Yeah. It's like the classic sort of like Christmas festival where one of our team members sent a message last night with a screenshot of a news report that said like, woman goes to hospital after being on the Winter Wonderland ride. And he was like, I'll be playing it safe tomorrow.
Well, Soph's suggestion was,
my
why
suggestion?
don't we do dinner and a show? I was like, well, that's real team bonding. You're not talking.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's
No,
something?
dinner, you talk at dinner. I just feel like I'm always the one suggesting something and you're like, no.
Well, I wanted something that was like fun, a little competitive because there's games and stuff. And
No, I think it'll be fun. I just hope it does stop raining.
I know, same. If it's raining, we'll just go to a pub. Go to
Oh
a
my
pub
God,
and-
fun.
Yeah. I had to bring about 10 different layers today.
Same. When you're outside in London, it's freezing. If you're at least walking, it's fine. It's as soon as you sit or like aren't doing anything that your body's just like, I need to survive.
Yes.
This is our last Curve Weekly for the whole year.
Oh, jeez.
You can do the whole, the year's gone so fast
The year's
now.
gone so quick.
You fly in a couple of weeks, don't you?
I know. I honestly, like counting down the days. I was talking to my niece yesterday and I was like, it's 20 sleeps. And she was kind of like, my sister was like, she has no idea how many sleeps. She can't even count to 10.
Seeing photos, though, of the New Zealand summer kicking off, I must say, everyone's like, it does look like, sometimes we always go on as New Zealanders, I think, of like, the New Zealand summer, nothing beats it. But sometimes we just have a total plonker and it's actually a really shit summer. It looks as though it's off to a good start.
I know. But then I'm like, you know what? We get European summer.
I know, we just stop being such brats.
I know. There is something when everyone's like in mini skirts and T-shirts and sunglasses and outside and people just feel happier.
I also just think we all look so much hotter.
I've also forgotten what my body looks like. I have like 2 seconds of being naked in the shower and then I'm like, quick, thermals. Like even like when I get home, we have a quick shower, get back into like full coverage.
You're never naked.
Not really.
I worked from home nude the other day. I was just like,
I always walk past your house.
What do you
And
mean?
you can see right in. I hope you weren't nude downstairs.
Can you though? Because I feel like no one ever looks up.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, I do because I know it's your house.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. I do. I walk around naked. The only time I've noticed people have definitely seen me naked because I've had a direct stare in the eye is if I'm standing naked over the window and I open the window because they hear noise and they instantly look up. It's happened twice now and I've realised whenever I open the window I need to have clothes on.
My place in Auckland was like on street level and the window from my bedroom went straight out onto the street.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of privacy.
No, and I cut down this hedge and I was like, oh, geez, I was like, there's really no privacy now. But then I was like, you know what? If you look up and have a gaze, go you.
I thought lucky you when someone looked it up the other day. We wanted to start with a bit of a
stock market roundup. The S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the US, and what we refer to when we talk about the US stock market, it's up nearly 30% this year. So we still have a few weeks to go to officially the end of the year, but like the stock market doesn't sleep.
It does kind of, doesn't it?
It's got like Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Thanksgiving.
Also, it's only open certain hours though, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, it's up nearly 30% this year. And
it's amazing. And also, just to put that in context for anyone who is like, okay, what does it mean? Because there was a long time there that I didn't understand the whole 30% up, 30% down. From the start of the year, if you put $100 in the stock market, that would now be 130 in super, super basic terms.
Yeah. So you would have made $30 by doing absolutely nothing with your money except investing it. That's quite amazing. And then obviously you multiply that by bigger numbers.
Totally.
Well, if you put in 10,000, that would be $3,000 you've made.
It's amazing.
So like you could invest
I wonder what mine's done.
$1 million and you would have made 300,000. So if you had $1 million, you could not work and just live off your profits.
Imagine that.
And that's essentially what we're trying to do at retirement is have enough money that we can just live off the income. But it is on pace for like back to back, so like year after year after year, annual growth of 20% for the first time since 1998. This is the second year it's had a 20% increase, over a 20% increase. We had 2021 was really good, 2022 not so good, 23 was really good, and 24 was really good. So that's a good stint, having one out of the last 4 years that's like wasn't as good. But remember, the stock market's done 10% return on average, and we're talking 30%. Like that's a bumper year.
I reckon the percentage is going to go up. I think
do you reckon next year? Should we take bets?
Yeah. I think that the average is going to be increased.
If you've got 3 out of the 4 last years over 20%, then that does start moving the average up.
10% kind of actually sounds a bit low now comparatively to what I feel like I'm used to because what I've seen in the stock market.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone kind of gets used to these really, really good returns. And then when you start seeing -6 or -10, which you haven't seen, you start panicking.
I go shopping. Well,
good.
I haven't been. I keep forgetting, but I'm going to start.
Yeah. So,
And when I say shopping, I mean shopping in the stock market, not shopping in like the stores. Just for anyone that's like, what?
But what do you think the stock market will do next year?
Yeah, I reckon maybe like 17%.
Oh, okay. I'm going to write this down actually.
Actually, can I say 18 just because it's an even number?
18%. Yeah. I reckon we should get everyone to comment what they think.
Yeah, that's fun. And wherever you're listening to the podcast, right, my prediction for 2025 is something percent.
The S&P 500 for next year, 2025.
Yeah, okay, love that.
And we'll think of a prize over the next 12 months for that person.
Oh my God, I hope in 12 months we're replaying this and I got it right. What are you predicting?
I reckon about 10.
Yeah.
So some of the best economists and analysts, so JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, they are predicting just under 7% for next year.
I don't care what the professionals predict anymore. Yeah. They always get it wrong.
Nice.
But don't you think? Yeah. Like, I mean, what were they saying? Like Goldman Sachs are saying we think it's going to be 3%.
For the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3% per year.
I think they've absolutely hit a blowout.
Love that. No, I love that.
I mean, there's someone listening that works there and is like this arrogant little bitch who's invested for 1.5 years, thinks she knows what she's up to.
Say it's somewhere between our predictions and it's 14%. Like that's still way better than you can get in the bank. But why they're saying that it's going to be lower next year is that we're having this like honeymoon period with the new president. So everyone's just really excited and there's kind of this euphoria and they're like, that will fade.
Honestly though, if Trump starts doing some random weird stuff, I can see the stock market having a total nosedive.
I reckon it's more AI related if we started seeing like people revolting, but people just realizing, oh, there's actually a lot of hype here and there's not a lot of actual tangible demand or sales or, and all these companies that have lifted the stock market so high over the last kind of 12, 18 months.
So your whole thing is you think if AI doesn't deliver in terms of actual functionalities that it can be used for in lots of different industries, that people will start thinking this is hype and we're not actually seeing implementation, and that could cause the overarching stock market to fall.
Not fall, just not grow as much.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I mean, that makes total sense to me.
Speaking of AI, this is actually something you've mentioned before, Soph, is how if we as women don't keep up with the pace of AI and actually like using it, being aware of its uses, actually being
Active participants.
Yeah, active participants, then there's going to be even bigger gap between men and women when it comes to the gender pay gap, the gender wealth gap. Yeah, there was some research out this week that shows that AI early adopters are massively disproportionately men. So we're already seeing this play out.
Lazier and they want all their admin done for them. Like, what is that?
It's more that women are fearful of the technology and therefore not embracing it, and therefore
I think it's valid. I understand the fearfulness and the fact that it was even created by men. It's instantly biased. Like we've been to a few talks about this. It's really interesting. But I think if we're not actively using it and feeding it with data and participating in the growth of the direction of it that it goes, it's almost more alarming.
There was one, what was that presentation we went to? And it was like
diversity, equity, inclusion at Google.
Yeah, and it was like there was this one company that was, and it had asked AI, ChatGPT or something like that, to write a job description for John and then write a job description for Jane. And then at the bottom of the job description, like must exceed expectations in XYZ. And then for Jane, it was like must hit expectations for XYZ. And so it was like just all this like disproportionate, like slight different change in tone and messaging that put us as like not being as good as men. It was quite interesting. I can't remember the exact example, but it was just like when something is created by a certain bunch of people, whether it's men or women or, and it's naturally going to target that market that it's designed for. So that's why we do need diversity, equity, inclusion in AI.
Have you read that book, Invisible Woman? It's kind of that, but times a million, isn't it? It's like from the size of the iPhone, being able to fit in a guy's hand more than it does women. What are those things that sort of like blow up when you're in a car? Like the
the airbags.
Airbags, the way that they're designed.
Drugs
everything.
being tested on men, not women.
It's just like the list goes on. But I think I understand. But from what I know from AI, which is not a lot, the more that you feed it, the more that it learns. So by having such few women feeding into it or using it, it's just exacerbating the problem of that huge slant and unfortunate
the bias.
Well, it just increases the bias.
Definitely, yeah, women are more concerned about the negative consequences of putting their data in rather than the positive consequences. So they're a bit more risk averse, which is the same when it comes to investing. We're slightly more risk adverse.
Are we risk adverse?
We're risk averse in the sense that we don't invest.
Yes, but we're not when we know what we're doing.
No, but we just want to dot our I's and cross our T's a lot more than men do. But also, women's jobs are most likely to be disrupted by AI, which is a whole nother conversation. The top list of jobs that are more exposed to being made redundant because of AI is like admin jobs, which are predominantly women, whereas physical labour, which is very hard to be replaced by AI, is mainly men. So that just leads to a widening of a gender pay gap, of a wealth gap, a gender wealth gap, all of that. So the key takeaway from this would be this shouldn't scare you. You should be like, okay, what can I do? Lean into new skills, lean into things that you don't know, learn about them, whether it's investing, AI, anything. If you are scared, flip that onto being excited by actually understanding what it's about, what's going to happen, and then maybe you can adapt, create new skills. And there was a great quote that I read. It's like, you won't be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by someone who knows AI.
I think that is the best point, because someone has to still power the AI. It's not just going to do it by itself. Like you have to say, hi, write an email that says XYZ.
If you are in an admin or a support role or an office manager role or whatever, and you are a bit worried, like the first thing you can do is just, read up on AI and try and use it as much as you can.
It's also very easy. For anyone that's scared, I am a late adopter. That is I was the last person to get Facebook. I was the last person to get Instagram. But I promise you, AI is so easy to use.
You're the last person to go to Winter Wonderland.
Yep, exactly. Don't think of it as this massive scary thing. It's basically just telling something what to do.
It's the same with investing. It's not a massive scary thing. Just start anywhere. So enough about AI. I feel like we could talk about that for ages. I love it. Let's go back to talking about the future projections of the stock market. So Walmart shares, they've been absolutely on a tear this year. They're up 80%. And remember, at the beginning of this episode, we said that the stock market's up about 30. So
so Walmart is a warehouse discount style.
Discount retailer. You get very, very cheap priced goods. When the economy is struggling or people can't afford to pay high price, they can't afford to buy expensive things, they start shopping more at Walmart. So the fact that Walmart's share price is up 80% indicates that the economy might not look as good, or people might not feel as confident in terms of their spending ability in the next year or two. So there's this guy on Wall Street who has come up with what he calls like a recession indicator of his own. So he's taken the Walmart share price and he's divided it by this luxury index that exists, which is made up of a lot of luxury companies. So think Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, think Hermes. There's an index, there's a luxury index. So if you wanted to invest in luxury stocks, you'd buy that index. So he's taken the Walmart share price, stick with me, divided by this luxury index. And what it shows is whether the world is heading into recession, because if it is, the Walmart share price is doing really well and the luxury names don't do very well, because you don't buy luxury if you're really struggling or you've lost your job or you're a bit scared about the future.
So essentially what he's created is almost like a weather reading chart.
Yes. Yeah.
He's trying to figure out.
Barometer kind of.
Yeah. He thinks by taking one of the best companies that absolutely thrives when people are struggling financially.
Yeah.
Which generally means there's some sort of recession happening. He's taken that and almost compared it to the luxury index or the companies that do really shit when there's a recession, to try and create some sort of formula to figure out what's going to happen in terms of the economy. Is that sort of what you mean?
Exactly, yeah. So you could take one of those. You could take the luxury index and see that that's falling and falling and falling, which it has been this year. Or you could take just the Walmart share price and see that that's gone up. But he's kind of combined them to give it like a double whammy of credibility. And so
it feels like it's like he's come up with some like new, it's like, when everyone's like, okay, so Y2K, we've got this is happening, the end of the calendar, blah, blah, blah. Or like, someone's done like a star chart of the planets and come up with some,
like,
do you know what I mean?
Girls who's like, I can tell if it's going to rain because, and then she's like, it's going to rain and it's like pissing down. It's kind of like that, but like more of a forward indicator, because everyone's looking for
indications for what's going to happen.
What's going to happen in the future. Yeah. And trying to act on it now.
Has it gained a lot of traction and news attention? Yep. So people are like, this guy, the Walmart guy, knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, so he's created this Walmart recession signal. So it's now at its highest levels that it has been since the pandemic.
I've just thought of another example.
Yeah.
It's like, how likely is a bushfire? You know, the coloured chart and that ticker goes to like
and they'll be taking a whole lot of different indicators. They'll be taking weather, they'll be taking humidity, they'll be taking lots of different indicators to move that lever of like, extreme, where we're at. Low, yeah.
So Walmart recession indicator, high
right now. Yeah. So what do we do with this information, Vic?
Also,
great question.
I want to change my prediction on the stock market, if that's the case. I'd like to say I think it's going to be lower than 18% return next year.
Try not to freak out. I mean, we have been through so many recessions over the years. Like if we look back over the last 20 years, and technically a recession is 2 periods of negative economic growth. So 2 quarters of negative.
So like 6 months.
So like New Zealand was in one. And yes, we call home and it is quite dire and people like are saying things aren't what they used to be and people are losing their jobs and there's stores that have closed and all of that. But I think this is really an important time to try and keep investing if you can. Taking a long-term view is really, really key, because if you're just like, oh gosh, Soph thinks that the stock market's not going to do well next year, I'm going to take my money out.
Don't do anything based on my predictions. God, that's the worst thing anyone could do. Yeah. No, I mean also everyone has an opinion.
It's also, if you don't already have an emergency fund, now would be a good time to start one, because who knows what's around the corner. If we do head into recession and maybe you're a business owner and things don't go as well, or you're employed and you unfortunately lose your job, having those buffers in place will just mean less stress. And hey, if we don't go into recession, you've got a little bit of extra money for other emergencies that might come along.
If we're in a recession, interest rates are doing what? And therefore returns, keeping your money in the bank, are doing what?
Interest rates usually go down. because, and we're seeing this play out in New Zealand at the moment, interest rates are falling. They are used to stimulate the economy and grow the economy.
Interest rates are like the Viagra for the economy.
Yeah. So we are feeding little drops of Viagra to the economy in New Zealand right now, because if people aren't getting as much for their savings in the bank, they're spending. You want to encourage people to spend because that grows the economy.
So in a recession, are the returns in the bank generally good or shit? Shitter. So you actually do want to be investing in the stock market.
Yeah.
So really, if this is potentially happening and you're wanting to plan your finances around that, two things: emergency fund in the bank. Secondly, maybe have some money, keep investing in the stock market.
Yeah. So I think and if you are in a position to invest, just keep investing. Dollar cost averaging, which means that you're getting those lower prices if the stock market does fall. So you're getting share prices on sale effectively. So just keep doing what you're doing.
But it's not a good place to keep your money if you're going to be needing it soon, because a recession means stock market generally falls, right? Which means that like if you ever needed to pull that money out, dangerous.
The stock market doesn't necessarily fall. It just doesn't do as well as if the economy is booming. Naturally, if a lot of companies are having a lot of customers, they're able to raise prices, they're able to employ staff, their products are selling, they're going to be doing well, and the stock market's going to do well. If some of those companies, say the luxury companies, aren't doing as well, then the overall stock market isn't going to be doing as well as it would if the economy was in a really, really good state.
So the key thing would be having an emergency fund.
Yeah.
The second thing would be
just keep investing. Just keep investing no matter what. If you're in a position, because if the stock market doesn't do as well, you're getting cheaper prices. Yeah, you're buying the stock market on sale. I titled this section Wonder Woman, which I thought was quite good. And that is all because I have been inundated with news about this massive wealth transfer that's going to happen by 2030. So only like 5 years away. And it's that women...
Am I inheriting money?
Yeah.
Is that what a wealth transfer you mean?
Yeah.
Inheritance?
So it's like women will have control over $34 trillion in wealth by 2030.
So there's going to be a huge handover from the older generation passing it through?
Yeah. And this was $7 trillion 10 years ago. So you add another 5 years. So in 15 years, it's gone from $7 trillion to $34 trillion in the hands of women.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And is there any indication on like age or anything?
It's still less than 40% of the overall global wealth. So men are still going to control 60% and we're going to control 40%. But we've just had such a massive step up in what we are going to inherit, but also gain from like career gains. So it's us earning more, it's us also inheriting. It's not all inheritance. So we're going to be in control of $34 trillion by 2030.
I love the collective we. I like that.
Yeah.
We. Like it's all of us.
Yeah.
And so at the moment...
So if you're asking for a pay rise, you're going to be part of that and you're actually earning more. So the biggest drivers of this change, so of this increase in wealth that we're going to be managing, is women of the baby boomer generation outlive men. So as men have the wealth and they pass away, it's going to be passed to their wives or their partners because they live longer. Also, it's younger women pursuing more lucrative careers, so more senior leadership roles, asking for pay increases, all of that. So it's a combination of all things.
Yeah, so it's a combination of inheritance to husbands dying. I'm like,
and
sad.
Why this is so good is because, and who's going to benefit the most is not only the wealth management industry, but also the philanthropic industry, because women give more.
Oh, well, thank goodness. The money's going towards good things because more money's in the hands of women.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a massive change. Like, yes, we're still only going to be in control of about 40% of the overall global wealth.
That's still pretty good.
Considering 50 years ago, we couldn't even get a credit card.
What? How has that changed over the years? Like, let's say 20 years ago, how much wealth was in the hands of women? Can we see what that trajectory is? Because that's fascinating.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, it was 30%. It's now gone up to 40%.
So in 10 years, another 10 years, it could maybe, or even 5, could get to 50-50.
Be over halfway.
Oh my God, that's huge.
Yeah. You know, considering that only 41 companies in the S&P 500, so remember they're the top 500 companies in the US are run by women. and 12% of C-suite positions, so CEO, CFO, COO.
The massive big jobs.
Yeah, the top jobs at public companies are women. So we're still so low in those percentages, yet we kind of punch above our weight when it comes to the wealth that we're going to be inheriting and controlling, which also means we need to be able to make smart decisions with that money that we have. If we're inheriting it or if we're getting it through our lucrative careers, we need to be able to know what to do with that money so we can get to that 50% or 60% or 70%.
If you're aware that guys talk about how to make money heaps, and that's a massive problem in itself because we don't, because women generally like shy away from talking about money or investing or whatever. I mean, I really hope in a lot of friendship circles that's changed, and hopefully, you know, you send around podcasts like this to your friends, whether it's ours or other ones talking about education when it comes to money. But I really, really would encourage you to be brave, and whether it's sending a podcast or a social media account or bringing up something you've learned and sharing it with your friends, those are the types of things. If we can socialize money conversations, then we can reach more people to make better decisions. I think it's really
100%.
important. Like, don't think that that's not your place to do, because the more people we have as advocates for talking and learning more about money, the more we can help everybody collectively to spend it and invest it in better ways.
One of the industries that I said that was going to benefit the most is the wealth management industry, because they're going to be managing on behalf of women, or behalf of people. That industry in itself is majority men still. So even though we will control the money, we will be giving it away to men to manage on our behalf. So we're not controlling it.
So actually learning how to invest yourself.
Yes. Or getting more women in the wealth management industry.
To invest in different ways is so important.
So important.
Oh, God, there's so much to be done, but that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And I would really love to finish on what I can see as a Taylor Swift, a nod to our gal, T-Swizzle, who we just adore, top artist probably for both of us of 2024.
I'm kind of sad because I loved all the stats that was coming out, like, oh, she's created this many jobs from this show, and like
it was the most wealth generating concert of all time, wasn't it?
Yeah, the biggest tour that earned the most money of all time.
So
Imagine having
amazing.
that crown of like, But she made $2 billion in revenue just from ticket sales. Oh, sorry. So to sum this up, the tour finished this week.
I'm so glad we went, by the way.
She toured for like just over 2 years. She did 149 shows, and she finished the tour exactly 1989 days since losing control of her music.
Whoa.
Yeah. She made $2 billion in revenue just from ticket sales. I don't think I've seen a bigger FU to.
When you say lost control of her music, was this the Spotify situation?
No, this was the Scooter Braun situation.
What happened with that?
And she re-recorded. Her music catalog got sold, and that's when. Sorry, yes, and Spotify was the flow on of that. She was like, if you don't, I'm going to re-record all my music they sold. If you have the old Scooter Braun version and not my newly updated Taylor version, I'm going to pull my entire catalog from Spotify. Spotify swapped it all out with her re-recorded music, which is another FU to,
Genius.
Imagine recording, I don't know how many albums she had, but even recording one album again.
By the way, when we went to her concert and she
I found my bracelet the other day.
Oh, I've got mine too still. She got Travis Kelce, her boyfriend on stage. And I just remember the moment that happened, looking at that. We both looked at each other like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
We're experiencing this moment.
But I didn't realise how massive it was. Like, I didn't realise she'd never done that before.
No, I know neither. Yeah.
I wish I had known, because I would have lost my shit even more.
I know. Yeah. But anyway, we love Taylor. She's done better than Michael Jackson. She's done better than the Beatles. Yeah. And they were like iconic.
Yeah.
So like our kids are going to be like, oh, Mum, you saw Taylor Swift live? Cool.
Yeah.
You know? We're like, yes, we were there when she brought her boyfriend on stage.
80, and it's like, we are never, ever getting back together. Like the most like tweeny music.
Oh, I put my hip out. Oh, fuck. Oh, and on that, I hope everyone has had a really great year.
Ooh, one thing. You've put us in to potentially speak at South by Southwest London.
Yes.
If you listen to this, can you please vote for us, because we want to speak there, and it's a public vote situation.
Oh, it'll be such a bucket list moment.
I'd absolutely wing my pants with nerves, but like, please vote for us because I would love for us. Imagine if we got that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a TED talk.
We'll put that, and we will put a link in the show notes and the category that we're under. But please, please, please vote for us. If you're in London, Australia, New Zealand, anywhere you can vote. And if we do get in and do get to speak,
we'll do something silly like sing Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, have the best Christmas and silly season. We'll be back on the silly 6th season of Jan.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
No, I'm talking. We've got the rest of the days here though, and next week.
I'll see you next week, babe.
But we've got one last episode coming out on Thursday.
Thank you so much for listening to The Curve Weekly. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the money, biz and stock market news. And if you like what you heard, we would love a review. Thank you.
Yes, we would love a review. But if you did hate it, please, don't leave one if you hate it. No, but in all seriousness, could you please leave a review? Because it really helps other people find our cute little podcast.
And we hope you have a good week and see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Sweet? Yeah. See you next Tuesday. Lol. See you next Tuesday. I mean Monday.
No, actually, though. New episodes out every Tuesday. Okay, quickly. The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.